This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Ladies and gentlemen, up to Massachusetts we go. He's just a short distance from me. When are you going to come see us, by the way?
Soon,
yeah. Because I would love to see you in person. You know,
yeah, that'd be great.
Get here while we still have the apartment.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. But anyway.
Right.
And I have my coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what I've changed in life?
What's that?
I never used to put cream in coffee.
What, you used to drink it black?
Yep.
Yeah.
And, I mean sugar, or sweetener.
Right.
And that was it. And then one day they got this thing, it said no carbs, And
Right.
it's a sweetener, and it's, I can't remember the name of it right now. It's a cream. And I bought it, and I put it in there, and it's got all these different flavors like caramel, and I think today I'm doing hazelnut,
Right.
And it's really good. And I suddenly decided I like coffee with cream because it's less like coffee and more like, I don't know, a milkshake or something.
Right, exactly. So, Alex, I went fishing.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me just absorb this in my head. Let me imagine you with a rod and reel, throwing and casting into the. I can't even imagine it.
Well, I did it, and I actually caught 2 fish.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Now, what brought this on? This little desire to go fishing?
A friend of mine has a boat, and he invited me. So I said, sure.
Okay, so you went out in a boat. This was ocean fishing.
Yes.
Okay, and he have you ever fished before?
Oh yeah, as a kid.
Oh, as a kid you did fish. I fished when I was a kid.
Right.
I think all kids were required to have a fishing pole because they look like the cover of Collier's magazine or something.
Right.
Nobody knows.
My dad loved to fish.
Yeah. Okay, so you went fishing with him. That was a father-son bonding.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Did you ever catch anything in those days?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I went fishing. I remember I caught some fish. Small ones though. Never big ones. So what did you catch in ocean fishing?
I caught 2 bluefish.
Really?
They're about 2 feet long.
Yeah.
And they jump out of the water when you're reeling them in.
Well, obviously, you're getting them out of the water, so they don't,
No, they jump before you get them to the boat.
Oh, really? Do they jump into the boat?
No.
Well, then what good are they?
And they have teeth.
They have teeth?
Yes.
Can they bite you?
Yes.
Were you told this before you caught the bluefish?
No.
Okay, all right, yeah, and did you bring them home?
No, my friend took care of it. I didn't want them. I'm not going to eat them.
Because I had a friend of mine who was a fisherman. I mean, he liked fishing. He was his, some of these people who get into fishing are like just nutty about it.
Right.
And
I was working a club in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And in Pittsburgh, they have the Andy Warhol Museum.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to my opening act, you want to go to the Andy Warhol Museum with me? And he said, no, I'm watching fishing on TV. Really? He was that much of a fisherman.
Wow.
So he was just crazed about it.
Wow. Well, anyway, so my friend was so crazed about it, he bought himself a boat.
Right.
And he used to go out and fish and catch stuff, but he always caught and released.
Right.
He never held on to the fish. I can't remember in all the time this was out like in Fire Island that he ever went out, caught fish, and brought any back.
Really?
Yeah. He just didn't think that was right, to
Yeah.
do. So the catch and release is a big thing among certain fishermen, not all fishermen. And
Right.
if you bring the stuff home and you eat it, then it's almost like people go out and hunt. I go, well, I don't like the idea that you go out and hunt and then you just cut the deer's head off and put it up on your wall.
Right.
I mean, if you bring it home and then you have it trimmed and cut up and everything, and then you eat it, what you've killed,
Right.
then I think I have to excuse that because you're doing what nature intended. It's predator-prey relationship.
Right.
But if you simply waste that animal because all you want to do is kill it,
Right.
then, I'm sorry. I'm not for hunting at all. And
Not that kind of hunting.
well, I don't need to hunt. I have a supermarket.
And they have frozen foods.
They have frozen foods. I must admit that, well, like for instance, you can't go out hunting and kill a cow or some beef because it's somebody else's beef that you
Right.
kill.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So I wouldn't be able to get anything like that, and I have you ever had venison?
Yes.
You like it?
I had venison. Remember the big blackout on the East Coast in the 60s?
Yeah.
I had venison that night.
Oh, really?
At the neighbor's house, and I have no idea what it tasted like.
Because I've tasted it, and I just don't like game. It's just gamey food is gamey.
Right.
I'll tell you a story. When we're kids, certain things affect us, and they affect
Right.
us for the rest of our lives. They're very small events. They're not big events, but they do tone our opinion of things. And the
Right.
one that toned mine was my father invited this friend of his over to dinner. Okay.
Right.
And the friend said, "Don't worry about making dinner. I will bring dinner." Okay.
Right.
And what he brought is he had gone hunting, and he brought back some, I guess, ducks that he
Right.
had shot and killed.
Right.
And I thought, this is cool. This is gonna be a lot of fun,
Right.
And he took gave us my mother the ducks, and she went in and prepared them and cooked them, and we're all sitting down to dinner, and he goes, "Oh, just one warning: be careful because you might bite down on a bullet."
Right.
I couldn't eat it.
Right.
All of a sudden, it became very real what had happened to this duck. And I couldn't eat it. And
Right.
I have not been able to eat game ever since, especially duck.
Right.
Some people like duck. I mean, I just can't get into duck. I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't care. I order from a Chinese restaurant. I don't order the duck,
Right.
What is my watch making noises for? Oh, I get this guy. His name is Tony. He's one of the callers to the show.
Right.
And Tony is a little out of it, okay? And what he does is he sends me messages on Facebook.
Right.
Now, every time a message comes in on Facebook, my watch
Right.
goes off.
My watch tells time. That's it.
Yeah, well, my watch sends me messages from Facebook, okay?
Right.
But he doesn't do just one Facebook message. He does like 20 of them in a row. And so
really?
So my wrist is going meep, 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 ding, ding, ding.
Well, that's what you get for being so techno savvy.
Well, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to stop him from calling Facebook,
Or just block out Facebook messages on your phone and only do it on the computer.
Well, no, because sometimes I get nice messages and it's fine. It's nice to look
Right.
at your wrist and somebody says, how are you? You okay?
Right.
I also get not email, but text messages on
Right.
on my watch, and that's
Right.
fine if somebody just does the one message, and I
Right.
look at it and I go, oh, that's nice, But then he goes, he he then does a whole bunch of them, like 20 in a row.
Right.
And I, the guy, I like the guy. The guy's not mean or anything. He's not a terrible human being. He's just kind of weird.
And who isn't? And who isn't? Who are you to judge who's weird?
I'm going to tell you, you're not weird like this guy.
Hi.
Okay. All right.
But we're all odd.
We're all odd. Odd is not bad. In fact, odd is what made us a living.
Right.
I
told you the first time I played Sacramento, I was working with Rick Reynolds.
Yeah.
And Reynolds says to me, Kravitz, you're an odd-looking human being. And I took that as a major compliment.
Well, and that meant you were going to make it in comedy. He wasn't an odd-looking human being, and he didn't do too well.
He did well for about a week.
About a week, yeah. He was a flavor of the month.
Right.
Right.
And then I think he made some mistakes.
What's he doing now? Selling used cars?
I have no idea.
A lot of these guys you suddenly see, well, what are they doing? Oh, they're selling real estate. Oh, okay.
Right.
They got out of comedy and they went into real estate.
Right.
How do you go from comedy to real estate? I guess.
Well, comedy, you're kind of selling yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what I said was all art is someone putting his madness on display.
Right.
And if he isn't mad and he isn't crazy, then he has nothing to display, and therefore he isn't any good at it.
Right.
Isn't that what you did every time you got up on stage?
I certainly had enough madness for everybody.
Yeah, you filled the room with madness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and you look at Van Gogh, he put his madness on display.
That's a little severe when he cut off his ear.
Well, he was in love with, what's his name? His pal who came to visit him. I'm trying to remember his name now, the other artist. The one that did all the Tahitian women and stuff. See, there goes my mind.
Right.
Forget it. It's over for me.
Oh yeah, it's over.
You don't have to make me. You don't have to put me in the Radio Hall of Fame. I can't remember where it is.
Good night.
Okay.
So Alex, before we got on, you were talking about some other venues you were going to explore.
Other venues? Well, no, I've just been thinking about. I think this whole thing with this show is kind of wearing itself thin. It doesn't get doesn't get the amount of listeners it used to get, which is reasonable because do you know how many podcasts there are in the world?
Oh, millions.
About 3-4 million. Yeah.
Right.
So here I am with my little dog and pony show.
Right.
And I'm not like NBC and I've got some guy who works for us that does a podcast and we can push it, on the air and things like that. It's word of mouth has to get out. And my show is more traditionally a radio show than it is a podcast,
Yes. Yes.
I did do what is it? About 67 podcasts of the history of my life. Each one was a half-hour chapter, which people can listen to, and that's traditionally what a podcast is.
Right.
And I don't know how many people have listened to that over the time it's been out there, but it's gotten a sizable audience.
Sure.
But every night I do an hour and a half, and it's maybe too much for people to have to put up with.
Right.
When I put you, one night I decided I wasn't going to run the show because I said some things that I didn't want to get out there. Nothing terrible, but it just had to do with our case with our our apartment and so on. And I didn't want it out there for the record. But you were on that show, and I didn't want to waste that, so I put you up by yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that got a massive amount of people watching it.
Really?
Yes. So
that's because I'm particularly handsome.
You're particularly handsome, but it's also a short form.
Right.
And so that's one of the things I'm thinking about. I interview you, I then should put it up. I interview Bubs, I should put it up. I interview Pearl, I put it up. Durst, put it up. Who else? Slayton. I just did one recently with Slayton. Just put it up and let people go watch those things.
Right.
You know, rather than do this whole show where I get about the same 5 people, 6 people every night calling me.
Right.
Some nights it gets up to 10, 11, you know.
Right.
But it's the same people, and there's just nothing there to grab anybody.
So you feel it's run its course.
Well, I'm trying to rethink it.
Right.
I do this just to keep doing something. Right.
Right.
And somebody said to me, "Well, it keeps you alive," and I'm going, "No, because it's killing me."
Good night.
Good night, folks. I'll see you later.
Right.
But so and also it's funny. I invented the podcast. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
I can lay claim to creating the podcast. In fact, I even have the program that was used and made back in 1998. Yeah, 1998.
Okay.
What happened was I was the station had fired me.
Right.
And I had, precious little to do, and I wanted to keep in contact with my audience.
Right.
And I had a website, so they knew I had a website, and they could go to that website. So every day I would do a little half-hour ramble about things and about the world and everything. And
sure.
then I would put it up on the site, and then you could go there and double-click on it and listen to it.
Right.
Well, this guy came to me, and he said, "Alex, I got an idea. I just built this program. It's called Auto Alex. And people just put this on their computer, and every day when you put up a new show, it automatically detects it and then downloads it automatically to their machine, so that when they come home, there it is."
Oh, wow.
What's that called today? Podcasting. That's exactly what iTunes does.
I did somebody else's podcast, and it was just 2 guys talking to me. It was basically the same thing that me and you do.
Mm-hmm.
Except this one was out of Florida.
Yeah. Were they any good?
They were young.
Oh, okay. Now, because I keep doing this with you because you tell me you enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to it.
Yeah. But anyway, so I literally invented the podcast.
Right.
I didn't call it a podcast because there wasn't an iPod out yet.
Right.
So you couldn't call it a podcast, but we called it Auto Alex. That's what we called it. I still have the program on my computer here.
Do you really?
If anybody wants me to prove it, it even has a date stamp on it.
Wow.
But anyway, so and then one time I wrote into this podcast journal, and they were saying so and so invented the podcast. I said, "No, I did. I was 2 years.
Right.
I was 2 years before that." And they went,
right.
"No, you didn't." Okay, But,
Alex, it's all politics. You know that.
Yeah. But anyway, I invented the podcast.
Right.
I'm not being Al Gore here, folks. I invented the podcast. And now, here I am.
How many people caught the Al Gore reference?
Oh, I think some people did,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the ones who didn't, fuck them. That's the way I feel.
Don't read a book.
Hey, if you don't know what Collier's magazine was, fuck it.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It's in my wheelhouse of my frame of reference. Do you remember Collier's magazine?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember the Saturday Evening Post?
Sure.
Of course. 2 huge magazines.
Right.
So
along with Life and Look.
Life was the one that lasted the longest, but only because when they finally killed it, it died, and then they brought it back a few years later and tried to resurrect it.
Now, is Rolling Stone still out in paper form, or only on the internet?
I have no idea. Do you ever see it on? Are there newsstands anymore?
No, you're right.
Maybe there are, because maybe some people still buy newspapers in the morning.
Oh yeah. I know a lot of people that still read the Sunday paper.
Well, I get the New York Times digital edition.
Right.
And I buy the weekend paper, but you can buy it separately. But But anyways, I mean, there were a lot of big magazines, and Life was unique in that it was a picture magazine. It was known for its photography.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And it had a very special place. It was photojournalism.
Yes, and it was excellent.
It was excellent. And I think it was the most popular of all the magazines, wasn't it?
Probably because you didn't have to read.
They had Time magazine,
Right.
which I think they still publish. You had
Yes,
yeah,
I see it like at CBS and whatnot.
yeah, Newsweek. I think they still publish Newsweek, but I'm not quite sure.
That I'm not sure about. I know they publish Time,
Yes.
and they still publish People.
Well, People still exist, and they
Right.
because otherwise you have to have the most intriguing people of the year. And what is it? Oh, yes, the sexiest man alive.
Right, you have to have that.
Now, I don't understand if the sexiest man alive is still alive, and he was
Right.
last year's sexiest man alive,
Right.
wouldn't he logically be still the sexiest man alive? But how come it's a different sexiest man alive every year? And they don't say, well, nobody was better than George Clooney. We'll give it to
Right.
him again.
Right.
I mean, I saw George Clooney the other day in an interview, and he's like 60 now. He's got a
Right.
beard. He's going to look better 5 days dead than you and I look right now.
Thanks, Alex. I'll be in the bathroom hanging myself.
I mean, come on. This is one of the best looking guys in the world. I mean,
What do I know? What do I know from good looking?
Well, I mean, I have had a blessing, and the blessing is I've been ugly. And the horrible thing is, if you're beautiful, beautiful gets ugly.
Right.
Have you ever noticed that?
Yes.
How many times do you meet up with a girl that you were hot for in high school, and you go, oh,
yeah, what happened?
What? Yeah, what day did she wake up and say, what the fuck happened to me?
Right. Right.
Jackie Coogan's a beautiful example. Remember Uncle Fester on the Addams Family?
Yes. Yes.
He at one point was the cutest kid in the world. He was.
Right?
He was the kid in Charlie Chaplin's The Kid.
That's right.
When did he wake up, look in the mirror, and go, "What the fuck happened to me?"
Right.
I used to be the cutest kid in the world, and now I'm Uncle Fester.
Well, it could be worse. He could be unemployed.
That's that too.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, so I mean, I just always had this feeling that the wonderful thing about being ugly is you're going to be that way for the rest of your life. But if you're really good looking, you'll get ugly. Tell me an older person who was very big earlier who hasn't gone to seed to a certain extent. We all do.
Right. It's just biology. It's what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I always had character in my face. Well, see, I always thought I was ugly because I grew up in Marin County, and I was
wow!
I was one of the
beautiful people.
One of the few Jews at that time living in Marin County.
Really?
And then before that, I grew up on Telegraph Hill, in North Beach, and just compared to the other kids, I was unusual, And I never thought of myself as looking good. I look back at my pictures when I was a young kid and going, "Hey, he was pretty good looking." But he was good looking by today's standards, not by the 50s standards.
Right.
It wasn't until I came to New York that I actually got laid to any appreciable extent, because a lot of Jewish women here, and a Jewish guy was attractive.
Really?
Yeah.
I have never been with a Jewish woman.
Never?
No.
Oh, you've missed something really good.
Really?
Now, provided they aren't married to you.
Right.
provided they aren't married. They are singularly, I think, the best fucks you'll ever have.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hands down.
Hands down.
All right. Might be a little late for me to go pursuing.
The way you get them to stop fucking is you marry them. That's the old joke,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
How do you get a Jewish girl to stop fucking you? Marry her. Yeah. Right.
Right.
But And then they become Jewish mothers, and what can we say?
Right.
But I'm not going to argue with that. I had a Jewish mother, and she ruined me for life. So I mean, oh boy, oh god, yeah, we've already done 24 minutes, and they just fly by when I talk with you.
Right.
But we'll do this again next week, okay?
Yes,
Is
absolutely.
that in your wheelhouse? Don't worry, we'll figure out a time after we're through here with the recording. Ladies and gentlemen, playing absolutely nowhere except to his mirror in his house, there's Steve Kravitz. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye-bye. And
Thanks,
I called you Steve Kravitz this time and not Stephen Pearl.
That's right.
Because I used the word Steve. If I used Stephen, I might have said Pearl.
Right. No, actually, it's Steve Pearl, Stephen Kravitz.
Oh, okay. Steve Pearl, Stephen Kravitz. Okay. Anyway, Stephen Kravitz, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Alex.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And there was Steve Kravitz. We love talking to him. Oh, let me turn on the lights. I'm always forgetting to do something now. It's just it's a thing that happens with me now, that I forget to do stuff. But anyway, here we go, folks. See the lights? See, now I look pretty. Okay. Let me see here. We only got 2 people waiting to come on here. This is getting depressing. Well, let me put them on. Yeah. Let me do this. Okay. And here they come. I'll just let them. And here comes William Ferguson. Okay, admit William Ferguson. All right, and there they are, folks. Oops, I got to get rid of that Stephen Kravitz thing. See, I forget to do all these things now, and I'm really screwed up, to tell you the honest to God truth. See how it says Steve Kravitz over Alan? Well, we just get rid of that really easily. Poof, it goes away. Okay. Anyway,
I feel better.
You feel better, do you? Oh, okay. And there's Mr. Ferguson. He's on the Starship Enterprise. Boy, was that a tacky set, wasn't it? If you look at it by today's standards.
Oh yeah, it was just horrific.
Yeah, it was like it was done out of what they call foam core. It looks like it just.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to touch things too or lean on stuff, or it'd just fall apart. But they make the sets better today. Hello, Charlie Wallace. Boy, I'm happy you're here. I guess must have been a rain out tonight?
No, I just had one of those rare days off.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. What Charlie does is, for a living, he is an umpire, right? Or you train umpires? Or you...
I do both.
You do both.
He's a vampire that trains umpires.
He's a vampire that trains umpires. Okay.
It's all part of my income. I live mostly off my pension and Social Security.
Of course, as do we all. Or I do at least. Hello, Vernon Nunn. Nice to see you too, Vernon. Good to
I'm back home.
But you're back home. Okay, fine.
No place like home.
So I get these trolls that write stuff that this may well be true, okay, but you don't have to write it. That's just mean. Okay.
Oh, did I miss something? Do I have some new?
No, it has nothing to do with you, you egotistical son of a bitch. Sometimes it has to do with me, the other egotistical son of a bitch. It's from Arthur Viken. Or Vielken. I guess that's how he pronounces his name. Dreadful. This was referring to last night's show. This is what the death throes of a once great radio show looks like.
Oh.
And it ain't pretty.
Ouch.
Down to 4 people, only 3 of whom say anything, and those who talk, only 1 should. I've been a big fan of Alex's for more years than I'd like to admit. He deserves to be in the Radio Hall of Fame. He doesn't deserve this.
There was something like that on Facebook posted for you.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought this was side chat.
No, this isn't
Oh,
side
okay.
chat. So how much validity is there in what that person just wrote?
Absolutely not at all.
None.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, look at this. I mean, we only have like what here 5 people, I guess.
It's early.
Well,
Quality over
it's early.
quantity.
Last night we only had like about 4 people. So
Right.
you know,
The important ones were here, except Charlie was missing.
Yeah, believe me, I would rather have been here.
Well, yeah, I would imagine. By the way, out in Texas, a little headline just came through.
Mhm.
A federal appeals court upheld a Texas law banning an abortion method commonly used by doctors for ending second trimester pregnancies.
Yep.
Is that going to hold up, or does this now go to the Supreme Court?
Oh, it now goes to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And with this court,
Huh?
it could well hold up.
Yeah. Now, my question is, how many trimesters should we allow things to go before we?
Forever.
You think so?
Nobody has the right to use anybody's body without their consent.
All right, but let's say we're in the 3rd trimester. Okay, if you haven't made wait a minute, if you haven't made up your mind by then,
Well, that's called birth.
well, no, the end of the 3rd trimester is birth, not
Okay,
the beginning.
Alan, I need your kidney.
Hmm?
I don't need your consent for it. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to die if I don't get your kidney. So I get to take it whether you want me
Well, wait,
to or
what does
not.
that have to do with abortion? I don't understand. Explain to
A
me.
woman's uterus is an organ, just like your kidney. Nobody gets to use it without her consent.
But yeah, but yeah. I don't know. I have a question when we get to the 3rd trimester. That if you know, I mean, okay, it's the day before the baby's going to be born. Do we kill it?
I'm not saying kill it.
Huh?
I'll take it out of the woman if she doesn't want it there. If you can save its life after taking it out of the woman, go for it.
See, my argument is if the fetus can exist without the aid of the mother, which would be about what, 7 months, something like that, you could remove.
I was born 3 months early, so I was
Yeah.
born September, and I supposed to be born December.
I have
Yeah.
a niece that was sick. That was 3 months premature.
Yeah, but you see, if you're premature, it's a different kind of story here. But what I'm saying is that I just wonder what the proper thing is. I mean,
Well, the proper thing is the 13th Amendment says you cannot be forced into servitude involuntarily.
all right, but wouldn't you think that after 6 months, somebody should know whether they want that kid or not?
Okay.
You know, I'm all for abortion, and I say I'm for abortion because I like to use the most violent term I can because it pisses off the right wingers. But I am for abortion, but the question is, after a certain point, I question whether you shouldn't have made up your mind already.
But there are other reasons why, besides not making it. There's a lot of women, in fact, almost 100% of the women that have 3rd trimester abortions wanted that kid. There's some other reason. That woman's gonna die. Or
Oh,
that
well, now
kid-
that's a different story, but that's a different
yeah.
story.
Maybe if the kid
Those
has
are the
Down
only
syndrome.
ones. Name me a woman who all of a sudden, after 6 months of puking her guts out, she's gonna go, "Oh, I don't want this kid after all."
Oh,
I seriously doubt if any rational woman would come up with that.
Yeah,
But
there'd have to be some extraordinary circumstances as to why you'd want to abort that late in the game.
If you need to abort because
think
your
Donald
life
Trump's parents did.
life is in danger, then I'm all for it. All right.
Sure.
At
In
any
fact,
point.
I'd perform the procedure myself.
yeah, exactly.
The Texas law doesn't allow for that. The poor woman's just gonna have to fucking die.
Yeah.
Sounds like Ireland,
Well,
which that has happened, by the way.
what?
In Ireland, there was a woman, she had to have an abortion. They had to get it out of her or she was going to die. And the doctors just said, no, we can't do this. So they let her die.
She died.
Well, I think that if we're going to make a decision between a already sentient life and one that isn't sentient in quite the same way, I say we go with the person who's alive right now.
Yes.
Okay. If you can, if it's the mother's in danger and you can take that child out 3 months early, then I say go ahead. But I just say that any other time that it is the mother has the right to make the decision. But to say that they won't allow it in the second trimester or a procedure. Now this is about a procedure.
Yeah, particular procedure.
What is that procedure? Do you know, Charlie, at all?
I don't remember. I haven't read it, in months.
Yeah.
Let's ask Donald Trump. He knows everything.
Yeah, well, no, let's don't even bring his name up.
Dilate and evacuate.
Huh?
It would be dilate and evacuate.
Yeah, a
DNC.
DNC, which is the National Democratic
DNC.
Party, the DNC. No, it was called a DNC, a dilation and curettage, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes it better if it's in French, I guess.
Well, that's what they used to do before abortions were legal. They said the woman needed a DNC for her own health, And so they weren't exactly aborting the child, but whoops, by accident, we aborted the pregnancy,
Uh-oh.
The trouble with it was in the old days, if you wanted an abortion and you had money, you could get an abortion. Anybody could get an abortion, and a good one with a good doctor.
Right.
And if you didn't have the money, you got an abortion in a back alley somewhere and took your life in your hands. Yes, Vernon.
This goes to the point
Yeah.
that many of us have been talking about the mindset of the current Republicans or supposed conservatives. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they know that this is going to have a more of an impact on poor people than wealthy people.
Of course.
And the Republican Party doesn't give a shit about poor people.
But you see, also, all those Republicans, let's say they make abortion illegal again. Those Republicans will be able to afford it somewhere.
Exactly.
I mean, they can fly to Europe, get
Canada.
one there. They can go up to Canada, do it there. But the poor person doesn't have the wherewithal, the money, or the ability,
Financial. They don't have the
financial
financial
ability to even get out of town.
Well, this is what I always say when Roe v. Wade was passed, that it wasn't the beginning of everybody who was going to run out and get an abortion. It was the end of women were going to stop dying from this.
Well, I mean, all these people who are anti-abortion don't remember what it was like when it was illegal in this country.
Oh,
and the
God, yeah.
And the number of women who were literally mutilated as a result. I remember when I was 19, my 17-year-old girlfriend got pregnant.
Oh.
And we didn't know what to do about it. And in those days, abortion wasn't a legal option. It was an illegal option. And we checked into that, but it was something we completely threw out in our minds because it was dangerous. I'm sure that had legalized abortion existed at the time, we would have done it just like that, and neither of our lives would have been inalterably changed as a result of it. She had the kid and gave it up for adoption. I wanted the kid, but I said I'll take it, and they said you can't. She has the rights to do with it whatever she wants to. And so consequently, I never saw a child that was I was accused of it being mine, and it has affected me pretty much for all of my life. That's why I haven't had any kids.
I was going to ask, how do you feel about that?
Well, I remember when it was happening, it was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. I mean, both of us were two kids. I just turned 19. She was almost 18. And we were scared out of our minds. We didn't know what to do. And when she finally told her parents that she was pregnant, that was the last I was able to see of her.
Oh.
Okay? And then she decided she was going to give the kid up for adoption, which in those days was a completely blind adoption, in which it went into, you know, you could not find records. I don't think to this day I'd be able to find the records of where that child was placed. Okay? And the only reason I know it was a boy is after she had the baby, I went to her doctor to talk to him about the fact that I really would like to adopt the child. I would like to have, since it's my child and she doesn't want it, shouldn't I have the right to have it? And he informed me, no, you have no right in the matter. And then he walked out of the room for a couple of minutes, and I have this amazing ability to read upside down. And I looked at the piece of paper he was looking at, and I found out it was a boy.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And that's all I know about the child. Okay? This woman came back into my life later on, and because she got a hold of me. She heard that I was on radio, and, hey, her name was Sandy. This is Sandy, remember me? And I wrote her back and I said, how can I forget you? You changed my life,
Yeah.
And she said, I can't see how. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. So I didn't want to say, hey, you had a kid by me, because I didn't know that maybe in her mind she had blanked that out.
Holy shit.
Okay, and I didn't want to raise it up unless she wanted to bring it up herself.
Right.
And there was never a mention of that. And I kept telling her, I kept passing little hints to her that, she could say something to me about it, whatever. And she never took the bait. And these were all in emails. Eventually I gave up on the whole thing. But she did at one point tell me that she did have a son shortly after I knew her. A couple of years later, I think she put it. And then she described the kid to me, and that he has all kinds of problems. He's neurotic, he's this, he's that. And I went, sure sounds like my kid. It really sounded like she actually kept the kid.
Oh, you think she kept the kid?
Well, she did.
She might have, Did you ever find out where did she disappear?
I never got a resolution to any of that.
She might have kept him.
I stopped writing back to her because I was tired of, I threw enough hints out there and enough bait that she could take the bait and talk about it, and she didn't. And I didn't want to bring it up because maybe in her mind she blanked it out or something like that, and I didn't want to bring up an unpleasant memory of hers. So
can I bring something up, Alex?
Yeah.
Let's say your son wanted to actually meet you. How would you feel about that today?
Well, if Howard Stern wants to come and see me,
oh my God, that would make sense. He's taller than you, though, right? You're pretty tall, though, Alex, because you're over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, but no, he's about a year too old to be my son.
But would you be up to seeing a child like that? Was your safety
Well, at one point I was going to hire a detective. I had a good detective that I knew to go find my kid.
Just to see how he's.
And I decided not to. And the reason I decided not to is that I thought of myself as, let's say, being that kid, and all of a sudden there's a knock on my door, and the door opens up, and I go, "Hey, I'm your dad." That's a pretty shocking thing.
Yeah, I'd be
so
shocked.
my attitude became, if he wants to find me, I'll make myself very available. But if he doesn't want to find me, I'm going to leave it up to him. Okay.
I don't think he was ever told.
He may not have ever been told. We don't know. I don't know what the story is. But I do know that, he would be, he'd be
He'd be 60 now.
He'd be 60 something.
60, 61, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, it's always, but it remained a very kind of important part of my life, and a part of my life that I've never been able to have an end to. Okay, and it's one of the reasons I never had a kid, because I had one, and it was taken away from me, and I would only have a child by a woman who I trusted.
Well, the pendulum swung so far the other way now. Even rapists have the right to visitation rights to their kids.
I didn't know that, but
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
In some states they do.
I mean, but then I had no rights at all. I mean, they keep talking about men's rights and how men have it over women and women don't have any rights at all, and you couldn't prove it by me in that situation, because I really had no rights at all, So I mean, there was nothing I could do in order to be. To have any kind of rights over that child. And I mean, she didn't want it, so why shouldn't I get it, right? And today,
you should have had rights at that. Your rights should have kicked in at the minute that child was born, though.
I know, but in those days, it didn't kick in. You had no rights.
Today, that would be different.
Today,
that would be much. Oh yeah, that would be much
It
different.
would be absolutely different. If she didn't want the kid, I'd be able to raise the kid on my own.
And you'd have been on hook for child support for the next 18 years.
Well, probably, but I wouldn't mind that if it was my child and I was able to see that child and be a father to that child. I would be happy to pay my part of the child support, because she should also have to pay part of it too under current thinking, right?
Yeah.
But it really set something for me for the rest of my life. I mean, it set a mindset for me, and I never had any kids because of it, But hello, Brian Neary, how are you?
Hi, Dad.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Well, if I could only hope you were my son, because I'd be very proud of you. Just keep waiting for that phone to ring or then knock on my door, and it's some guy saying I'm your son. But I don't know if he could find out. Back in those days, they erased the trail.
Yeah.
It was what they call blind adoption, and somebody would adopt the kid. That's it. Yes, Alan.
So how about, have you done one of these 23andMe? Probably not, but DNA kits, and to find out your ancestry or who
Yes, we did.
Okay, well, if he's done one in their computer, it may match you up.
Well,
and he may be able to find you.
To begin with, I have not had that information sent to me. Okay, and secondly, it has happened to somebody I know. Ronnie, my ex-wife, who's now since deceased, towards the very end of her life, got a call. She was on like Ancestry.com, and all of a sudden she gets this letter, I think it was, from somebody saying, "I'm your son." She had had a child when she was younger, when she was about my age at that time, and she gave it up for adoption, a blind adoption too, and it went out there. And the kid went out searching for his mother and didn't know where to find her, and then he linked into Ancestry.com, and turned out that Ronnie was his mother. And so she met him and met her great-grandchild, or her grandson rather.
It recently happened to a friend of mine, and that's how I know about this.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm familiar with that happening. It hasn't happened to me.
Oh, I'm just waiting for that.
All I know about my Ancestry.com file is that it's probably in China somewhere right now, So,
Probably.
because they have been accused of that.
It's right next to your 2021 award.
Yes, right. Now it's day number 3 since they were supposed to announce it, and they haven't announced it yet.
Well,
Somebody
I haven't done
did
the
it.
I haven't done the ancestry DNA, but I do have an ancestry account.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the more interesting things that I discovered about my descendants
Mm-hmm.
is that my fifth great grandmother on my father's side
Mm-hmm.
was Daniel Boone's older sister.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, Chloe Boone.
Really? Well,
I
that
haven't done it because I'm afraid that the police would find me.
Well, no, I mean, we did it. Marjorie did it actually for me, and it turned out nothing much. And I haven't gotten any things from them lately. So apparently, my subscription or something has run out. Because what happens is when you sign on to Ancestry.com, what a racket that is,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Have you done it, Charlie?
Yeah.
Then you know what I'm talking about. You think you're going to get this thing about, you're where you, and if they simply send you a map of where you might have been from, right? Where were you from, Charlie? Did they say?
Actually, it's really kind of funny because my parents met in Chicago.
Yeah.
It turns out that their great great grandparents are from the same town in Tennessee. They didn't even know that.
Okay, but when they say like where your ancestry is from, did it show any place in the world? Was there any African lineage?
Oh, they didn't go back that far. It went back to 1804. I found out that we had relatives that came over from Africa in 1804.
Yeah. Okay. Because
Mine
mine said it said, guess what? You're from this part of Europe, and it was Germany. I know that. Okay. Or Russia. I can't remember where it was exactly, but it was in that area. And it said you're Jewish. I went, okay, fine. Tell me for $75. Tell me something I don't know. Okay. You could tell I was Jewish just by the size of my nose, for crying out loud.
And Schwartzman, right?
And Schwarzman, I think that's
Oh my
that's a
God.
pretty good hint.
That sounds German or Russian.
That's a
yeah,
good
that
one.
was a good guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good solid Irish name there, Schwartzman.
Yeah. Oh, Schwartzman. Yeah.
Oh,
So I mean, so I get that, and then all of a sudden I keep getting stuff like, "Well, would you like to know more about yourself?"
Yeah.
It's another $100. What? Fuck
Yeah,
you!
just-
Or it's like $24.95 a month, I think, if you want to find out more. Oh, what? You're going to tell me I'm Jewish and I was bar mitzvahed? Come on.
Oh,
And on what day?
For the $24 a month, in 2 years you get your foreskin back.
Yeah, right.
That's gotta.
But it did pay off for Ronnie because she did find her son.
That worked out good.
And
Unfortunately, it was
she
the
went,
end of her life.
Well, something, she was happy that it happened at the end of her life because it kind of put a period on some part of her life.
Closure.
Closure. And she met her son, and it was interesting. It wasn't wonderful. I think she wasn't that crazy about his politics, to be honest with you. But it was a good thing for her. But it came to her. She didn't go out looking for it. And if the knock came at the door, the phone call came, or the email came, and it said, "Hey, I'm your son. How are you?"
And it was Matt Gates.
Well, if it was Matt Gates, I wouldn't answer it. Okay.
But Alex, I know you say you wish you would have had the kid or seen the kid or something or been in the kid's life, but you wouldn't have had the career that you had. I love kids. I love kids. I love my kids, but for you, and if you're a single father, or even if you guys were together still, I mean, Charlie attests to it. I mean, everybody who's had kids know. I mean, it's a 24/7 job. So.
Yeah, but something, you would have probably turned out exactly the same way you turned out, because you waited till you were about what, 50, 50 to have your first kid?
48.
48.
But see,
so your career was pretty much set in stone, You know,
and I had my fun days and years and decades.
Of course, of course.
And I used to listen to Alex Bennett all the time, who always said, "Don't have kids."
Who? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel I would agree with you that if I had had kids, I might not have had the career that I had, because what happens is the decisions you make in life are different. I mean, many times I just said to a station owner, "Fuck you, I'm leaving." Right? And I didn't have anybody to worry about but myself, and in some cases a wife. But, you know, we could tough it out. If I had kids, I might not have done that, or I might not have taken that job somewhere and taken a chance on it, you know. So yeah, my career was made by having flexibility.
Yeah. And for me, it was my real father. He had like 7 kids with like 4 different wives. So, you know, for me, I wanted to end the cycle, and I knew I was having too much fun, and I knew I didn't want to be like him, so that's why I waited.
Well, you know, I mean, there was a point in my life where I thought maybe I would like to have a kid. I even put a thing out on the air, this was in San Francisco, that I would like to have a kid. Is there any woman out there who wants to have one by me?
Oh, good Lord.
You know, but
Were they beating down the door? Were they beating down the door?
I got quite a few takers on it, you know.
Where was this at where you did this?
San Francisco.
Yeah. So the lesbian organization knocked on you.
No. But you know, I mean, hey, that wouldn't have been a bad idea. Find a lesbian who wants to have a kid. You know, I can be the sperm donor.
Win-win.
You know, all I would want is that I would have equal custody of the child. That was my, you know, and if you want to marry me, that's not necessarily an option. You know, so,
you just want to have a kid.
Yeah.
Something you can talk to and look at and say, "This is mine."
Well, I don't even want to say it's mine. I want one of the things I wanted to perpetuate, that when I die, disappears. The Schwarzman name dies. The way it's spelled and everything, which is SCHWARZMANN. There's some, you know, SCHWARTZMANs out there, but not spelled like we spell it.
How many ways is there to spell that name, though?
Well, there is. The Schwartzman with a T and one N is usually more common than just no T and 2 N's. So the name, I don't know of anybody else who has the same name. I've looked it up, and you'll find Schwartzman, but you won't find Schwartzman.
So you wanted somebody to carry on your last name or not carry it on?
Carry on the family name and the family legacy and the family DNA. You know,
I'm in the same boat right now as you, Alex.
Huh?
I'm in the same boat as you.
Really?
I'm the last Ferguson.
Really?
Yeah.
There aren't other Fergusons around?
Not in my line, no.
Oh, not in your line. You're talking about your DNA line.
Yeah. When I go, you know.
So you haven't had any kids?
I got close once.
Yeah. It's close, but it's no cigar.
Well, okay. She was alive for about 18 weeks.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
and like you, that profoundly affected me in a lot of ways.
Oh, I'm sure it did. You know, because you probably became quite fond of it, of the child. You know, and but that's sad. It's sad.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring.
No, that's okay. Yeah, you really took the show down. No, Thank you. I was having a good show till you told us.
No, William, I can sympathize because something similar happened to me.
What was that?
Our firstborn lived 8 days in intensive care before she died.
Oh God, that's rough.
Our first pregnancy turned out to be ectopic, and so never even made it to birth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But Vernon, you then went on to have children, right? More children?
No, we adopted.
We
tried a second time, and we had problems with the second pregnancy as well.
Yeah.
And that second child ended up being stillborn.
Oh boy.
So we adopted. Both our kids are adopted.
Yeah. But good kids?
Oh, they're wonderful.
Oh, okay. So that's all that matters, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, people say, well, gee, they weren't your own kids and whatever. But, you know, I got to tell you, if you're the father to them, then that's all that matters. You're the father.
The only thing I'll say is that neither one of them now has any prospects of creating grandchildren for my wife.
Yeah, mine
She
neither.
wants grandchildren.
Why don't they?
They don't have, well, my daughter's not dating anyone right now,
Yeah.
and my son is
would
dating
help.
someone that he's only known for 4 months.
Yeah, but that doesn't
He's
mean
only
that
7 years old, Vernon.
No, I think my son is definitely in love, and that it could lead to something.
Oh,
but
okay. Well,
right now, my daughter is not dating anyone. So
Yeah.
Well, that would kind of help, you know.
I mean, worse than that is hopefully they're not Trump supporters.
no,
Yeah.
No way.
Absolutely
Not
not.
alive.
Okay, good.
absolutely
You do
not.
care for them. Okay.
Well, my
that's-
mother always put a pressure on me.
Really?
Yeah, she went, am I ever gonna be a grandmother? Am I
Oh,
ever gonna be a grandmother? Am I
God
ever gonna-"
bless Jewish mothers.
And,
God
and
bless.
I'm going, Mom,
Oh, I don't know
you
about
know,
that.
I'll decide
you.
whether I want you to be a grandmother or
I don't know
not.
about
You know?
My mother's 88. She's Jewish and she's a pain in the ass.
the same
and everybody's
thing.
like,
Grandkids?
she's only, going to be around a few more years. I've been hearing that for 30 years now.
Well, and if like saying,
Mom, if you're out there, I
saying
love you.
you're only going to be around for a few years, and that's why you should be a grandmother is like me saying I'm only going to be around for a few years. That's why I should get my induction into the Hall of Fame. You know,
Are you up for that?
huh?
I mean, I love
Are you
my
okay?
mother. I
Yeah.
love my mother. We
Hmm?
get along fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in later years. She's becoming a pain in the rear.
Yeah. You know, they all will eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it
So-
happened about age 80.
My father was never a pain.
So when are you gonna give me grandchildren?
Yeah, when are you gonna give me grandchildren? Shut up, Mom. Shut up. You know.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm not even Jewish, folks.
Yeah, but you know, you don't have to be Jewish to have a mother who nags. You know.
Oh, where's speaking of Jewish? Where's
Jeff.
Jeff. Oh,
Jeff? Yeah, he had tested. I guess tested negative later. I don't. I wonder where
two
he's at.
two
He was
negative.
going up to Massachusetts, wasn't he?
Well, he was
Yeah.
going to, but then he came down. He
stopped.
tested positive for COVID,
Oh.
and then wait a minute, and then he went back and retested, and he came out negative. So they tested him again to make sure, and he tested negative again. So that's why he didn't go up to Massachusetts. But maybe he went. So. But I hope nothing. I hope he didn't come down with COVID.
One thing I heard on the news tonight is that some doctors are stressing monoclonal antibody therapy for people, even if they come down with COVID.
Yeah, well,
if you
that's
take
what
that treatment soon enough, it'll keep you from going to the hospital.
That's what they did with your governor, Charlie.
Yeah,
They
with our
gave him that what's it called? Monoclonal
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 antibodies. And anybody want an antibody? But it's supposedly it's very hard to get and expensive.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yep,
reading.
both.
Yeah.
Well, I heard tonight that it's not that it is expensive, but the government picks up the cost.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Okay.
They do if you're
for
going
that.
from Texas anyway.
Well, they said they're giving it to some people, and that's the reason we aren't having the deaths that we usually would have off of something like this. So, it's.
We're not having the deaths because people were wearing masks and people got vaccinated.
I'm not wearing my mask.
But you got the shot.
Yeah, I wear the mask indoors. That's the latest thing. Okay. Well, it's time now to go get the third shot.
We knew
I'm
this
signing
was
up
gonna
next
happen.
month.
So
Huh?
what?
I'm going to sign up next month.
Well, I'm not going to sign. Well, mine I will not be eligible for it till the 28th of October.
Yeah, so Vernon, you want to make sure you go by the science, and the science says that it starts going down about 8 months. You start losing antibodies.
I want to show.
Okay. Well, I got my first shot in January, so I'll be getting mine in September.
I got
my second one in February.
My first shot I got in January, and then I got the second one at the end of February. But here's
they
the
say
thing.
the 8 months is usually from your first shot.
No, it's from the second.
From the second one.
Second.
Which
actually
vaccine
2
is
weeks
that?
after the second one.
Yeah, and while I'm there, I'm going to get a fourth one just to be on the safe side.
I think so.
They tell me to.
Maybe you could save them up and sell them on eBay.
I want to show you how absolutely stupid the press is. So they're holding this press conference today with the CDC, and they put it out to questions from the press. And somebody in the press says, well, why haven't you stated that the preference of people to be able to get their third shot, their booster shot, should be a priority with people who are older? Does anybody understand why that was a stupid question? Yes, Charlie. I will take an answer from Charlie.
People that got the shots were older.
Yes. The people who got all their shots initially were older.
And that's why the numbers are a lot lower for older folks.
And they were given preference over anybody else, okay? But this guy from the press asked the question, well, why aren't you making it, so that older people get it first? Well, because older people are going to get it first, I mean, just if you go by the 8-month rule... so it's ridiculous,
What vaccine is that you got to wait 8 months for?
Oh, that's the booster now.
Oh, okay.
Now
they're saying that your antibodies start diminishing.
Now you had COVID.
Yeah.
And you didn't get a shot till when? Just recently, right?
Last week.
So you got 8 months. And you got 8 months.
This is my first jab with the Moderna. I get the second one on September 11th.
Okay, so it would be 8 months. It'd be 8 months from that day that you get your booster. The reason is, and I would say what's interesting is that probably the Moderna you're going to get now as your second shot may have the Delta virus taken into consideration. It may, but the fact of the matter is that because you got it this late, I mean, the reason he didn't get it is, quite frankly, he almost died of COVID.
So they waited 9 months before they gave you a shot? That's the medical timing usually. After you get over COVID, they usually wait about 9 months or 8 months before you can get the vaccine.
Why is that?
Well, they didn't at the time. They didn't have vaccines for me.
No, I understand.
No, but we're talking about after you had it.
How long's it been?
Almost a little over a year.
Oh, okay. Well, they're saying now, some study in Israel said that people that have had COVID need to wait about 8 or 9 months before they get a shot.
Forget about what they found out in Israel. Remember what we were saying about Jewish mothers earlier?
Oh yeah, okay.
Case closed.
I know people that had it, got their shot 6 months after they had COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, I had COVID. I got it a month later.
Texas is always in the rear.
Well,
I don't know.
Tony had COVID.
I had COVID.
Are you sure you had COVID, Tony?
No, I had it. I had it when my mom got it. We waited a week and we tested, and I actually saved my paperwork from the CDMD.
Did you get sick and everything?
If you remember when I called you, I'll be honest. When I had it, I was tired. Like I'll tell you, last night I was some days night I get tired, Alex. I fall asleep, but some days I feel like a little more tired. Like last night I was listening to this on the radio, on the Alexa thing, and some nights I get a little tired. I thought maybe it was heat, but I think since it was nothing drastic, I had fine breathing. But I noticed since I've recovered from it, it could have been losing my mom and all. But I also felt when I did have COVID, I was a little tired at night, and I had the sweats. I had no problems breathing. I was just like in the afternoon, I was getting more drowsy. Like I would never get tired like at 3 or 4.
You got lucky, man.
Yeah, I never had any breathing issues like you had. I just had like the. Did you have night sweats? Like your shirt was kind of like sweaty, like a cold.
He was in a coma. Okay.
Oh, no.
Well, no, I mean, normally I get that normally now. I mean, I like have the windows open, the fans going, and I sweat at night.
And you didn't sweat at night before you had COVID?
No, that was normal.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty much.
I was so for like 2 days. I was nothing like that at all. No problems breathing. I was doing the laundry, still going up and down the stairs. I mean, I was tired. Like now I feel I'm a little tired some days, but it could be just me running around a little back and forth to the post office with the heat. But last night I was a little tired, but I was never like that. Like I never had a breathing issue. I remember calling the show that time. Remember it was when I tested. I remember the one day I said, Alex, I'm going to sign off because I was a little tired because I had like the cough going still in the nose.
Mm-hmm.
But, and you know what I felt too, still to this day, I'm not going to lie to you. I was scared when I got tested positive because you're laying in bed and you're saying to yourself, oh God, I was practicing breathing. And I was watching my mom at the time because she was still home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, oh shit, when is this going to take a turn for the worst? Your mind plays tricks on you then.
Did your mother die of COVID? Did they determine that?
Yeah, she died of COVID.
They listed that as the cause of death.
Cause of death, yeah.
Complications from COVID, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
According to Marjorie Taylor Greene, all old people die of COVID.
All old people die of COVID?
Yeah.
Boy,
doctors make money.
If
They make money by putting
if
COVID
that
as the cause
if that
of death.
was true, I'm hoping that she's at least 70 years old tomorrow.
Well, I don't know that I didn't have COVID.
You could have had COVID, Alex.
Because I'm tired. Because right now I'm tired all the time. I'm like
Alex, my mother's old girlfriend from work.
Well, you're not 40 anymore, Alex.
Huh?
Never knew she had it.
What? Who asked me a question? Somebody asked me something.
I love the way Charlie points to me. I said you're not 40 anymore.
Alex is over there for me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in between you and Alex. So you're not 40 anymore. You're going to get tired as you get older, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Alex,
You get a little old, Alex?
What?
You getting a little old, Alex?
But you used to store your packages for days before you would touch them. You were more careful than anybody else.
We were. Listen, when Marjorie would come in the house, I'd spray her with antibiotics.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to know.
That's right. You guys went through a lot of Lysol.
Yeah, but I mean, once she was home, once she didn't have to go to work anymore, I don't think we ever left the house. Once in a while, she would go down to the store, down to the supermarket, wearing a mask. She would wear gloves. We were wearing gloves. And then she would come back and she'd wash her hands for a half hour, and we'd do the antibacterial stuff. And when packages would come, we have a little foyer. We would spray those packages and not open them for 2 days, And
somebody didn't steal them in the meantime?
No, we did it inside, the foyer inside the apartment.
The thing that irks me the most is these people that
yeah.
There's these people that they're paying doctors to say that people died of COVID, and I'm like, you know what? Listen up.
Yeah.
If I'm a diabetic, but I'm healthy enough to run marathons. So if I'm out on my jog, I get mauled by a bear, and they bring me to the hospital, and as they're fighting to save my life, and as they're adjusting my blood sugar, and I die on the table, guess what? It's the fucking bear that killed me.
Yeah.
That's a great green screen, Brian.
That's a great special effect they're doing there. Oh boy. Hey, by the way, do you know I have a picture that you did on my door over here? I can't show it to you because it's on the door, but yeah, your dad sent me some pictures you did. Yeah.
Where is Brian? I can't see him.
You got to get her out of play mode. She's in play mode right now.
Brian's the smaller of the two heads.
Oh shit!
Alex is looking too.
He's got a little straighter teeth too.
Yeah.
He says he has your picture.
So she's in play mode, you call it?
Yeah, she's in hyper play mode. It's hard to get her.
Oh, okay. All right.
I remember those days well.
Well, you know,
it was your first day. You tell Alex your first day of school today.
Was it your first day of school today, Adrian? Was it your first day of school?
Yeah. Adrian, we have an orange. There's an big orange moon tonight because of the fires over here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's pretty. It's cool, but it's not for a good reason.
So she went to
really bright.
Today was the first day of school for her. How about masks and everything? Did you wear your mask, Adrian? Yeah. Okay.
First grade?
No, she's in kindergarten. Okay, bye. Hey, I'll fix this later. Bye. And she's in kindergarten.
And wait a minute. What famous painting was she just emulating? The Scream.
Picasso.
The Scream.
Yeah.
Scream. Yeah, no, we had all 3 kids started school today. One's in elementary, she's in kindergarten. One in junior high and one in the high school. So it was like crazy morning today. I had a crazy day.
Wow.
She had dance class.
I saw your video. Yeah.
Yeah, my son, Simon's very shy. And so we pulled up and Tiffany and I were dropping off a couple of them. So I pulled up and all the cheerleaders are all lined up, all cheering on everybody coming up for school. All the guys had these banners and stuff like that. And so I knew it. So I pulled right up in front of everybody. I said, honk, honk. So I was honking the horn. And Simon says, why? And then he got out.
Were you in your new McLaren?
No. We had a few of us. I was in the Cadillac. So.
Oh.
You were in the Cadillac, not in the McLaren. I see.
No. In the other. The new car. Okay.
What? What'd she say?
Okay, no. Go. She's get too much.
She just said she voted for somebody else other than Alex on the broadcast.
No. She just said Simon was mad. That's all. So he was.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So we haven't heard anything on the. On
Simon
the
is your son with the little blonde streak in his hair.
He's got pink. It's like light pink.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's in what? He's in.
High school.
He's a sophomore.
He's a sophomore. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Then Stephanie just goes across the street to the junior high. So it's nice.
What's harder to raise? I mean, and 2 of your kids are by your wife through another marriage, and Adrian is yours. But what is it easier to raise a guy than it is to raise girls? Or is it vice versa? What would you say?
I don't know. I'll tell you when I'm done.
Oh, okay. How about you, Charlie?
That's Charlie. Yeah.
Charlie, what did you have? Boy and girl or girl?
I had 2 girls and a boy, and the girls were far easier than my son.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
In what respect?
He got into everything. He was breaking everything. He was taking things apart. He was running around in the street and stuff. Had to practically tie him down.
He's a scientist now. What do you want?
And the girls were just very good and nice.
Yep. Until they got to the teenage years, but
well, teenage years I think must be rough for a father because the hormones are kicking in.
Yeah.
And
the long showers. He used to be like me. I used to take like a 7-minute shower in, bam, 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 out, and they're suddenly longer.
Much longer.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And then I like walking by the bathroom and I shake the door handle.
Oh yeah, you're so cruel. He's in the middle of trying to take care of business. You're so cruel.
You just make him take longer.
You're not conserving water that way, Brian. Shame on you.
I just want to scare him.
How about you, Vernon? What was what you had? What did you have? what did you adopt? A boy and a girl, or both?
We adopted a boy first, and
Yeah.
then 5 years later adopted a girl.
Yeah. So which one was he?
How old are they when you adopted them?
My son is 41 and my daughter is 36.
Yeah, but I mean,
When
how
you
old were they
adopted
when you
them.
adopted?
Oh,
them?
when they adopt,
40 and 35.
yeah. Yeah, I wanted to keep the DNA going in my
There you go.
No, but how old were they when you
No.
adopted them?
My son was 5 months old, and
Uh-huh.
that's primarily because the father's rights had to be terminated through the courts.
I see. Okay.
They never got any response from the alleged father, so they had to go through the courts to terminate parental rights for
I
him.
see. Okay.
So he was 5 months old when we got him.
Uh-huh.
Our daughter, however, was 2 months old
Oh,
because
okay.
all parental rights were severed very quickly.
Oh, okay. So which one was the tougher of the two to raise?
Teenage years were rough for both.
For both. So I guess maybe that's the case. You know, I don't know any of this because I never had to go through any of this. And by the way, Brian didn't know much about this either, but in the last couple of years he's learned. You've been on a fast track course, right?
Yeah, Simon and Stephanie were 5 and 7 when I was dating Tiffany.
Yeah.
So I saw the 5 and 7 stuff grow up to where they are now, and then now I'm filling in all the other years with Adrian.
And how old's Adrian? Adrian now?
Now you're paying your son back for giving you a hard time by shaking the door.
How long?
Yeah.
How old is Adrian now? She's 5 now.
Yeah, she's 5.5. Yeah,
Five and a half.
October she'll be.
Isn't it great that when you're a kid, you go, "How old are you?" And they go, "I'm 5 3/4."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
today I don't go, "Hey, you know, how old are you, Alex?" Well, I'm 91 3/4. I'm sorry.
She's the tallest.
I mean,
she's the
81.
tallest in her class.
I'm 81 3/4. No, you
don't
don't
look
say
a
I'm
day
80.
over 91.
I don't
You're
know why I
fine.
keep saying
I
91.
know you said 90.
81 3/4, because you're not going to say you're 82 until the day happens,
Yeah.
and you may not even.
At this point you're just shaving points off your age.
Oh yeah, you don't want to get there too fast. But when you're a kid, you want to be grown up more than you are. You know.
Oh, I remember growing up, I couldn't wait till I was 16, then I couldn't wait till I was 18, then I couldn't wait till I was 21, then after 21 I was like, well, shit.
Well, gee, I can hardly wait till I'm 82. I can hardly wait.
Yeah.
Look at all that water
Eight-
you'll save by not standing in the shower, Alex.
It's like, what fresh hell is going to come
81 has been such a breeze for me.
now?
Anyway,
That's because we're here to keep you young.
thank you, everybody. It's been nice tonight. There's been a great little crew here. Screw anybody who thinks this was a sad attempt at doing a radio program.
I think something quantity over quality, something.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, of course, to Alan. William Ferguson, always nice to see you there. I was thinking
Thank
about
you,
you
sir.
today, Mr. Nunn, because I was saying I hope he calls tonight. It just really. So, and you did. You must have gotten the vibes. Tony, thank you. All right. And quit sending me those messages on Facebook. You're driving me crazy. For
I don't
crying
blame
out
you.
loud. The same thing with Alan. He wrote me and he said he's driving me nuts with all these messages. And Brian, thank you so much. Everybody, why don't you give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a wave goodbye at you. Okay, there they go, folks. That's our citizen panel. And a good citizen panel it was tonight. Had a nice time. You should have a nice time with the citizen panel that's coming up next. It's going to be the intersection with Jack Bishop, and he will be here and using Skype with, and you call the thing Gabnet Live is what you call in order to get to him on Skype. We'll see you again, let's see here, tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, yeah, you know what to do. Tell her I love her, okay? And by the way, whatever you do, get vaccinated, okay? If you don't, wear a damn mask. See you later. Bye. Who was that guy?